The first portion of your script, I'd say one is your mental notes, understanding the mindset you need to come up, the mindset you need to come with into your calls. So this is pretty, general stuff I put on all my scripts, releasing attachment to the yes, putting all your focus on an accurate diagnosis. But the mindset you want to have coming into selling agency services is that I purely just want to understand if this person has the desire for my service, but more importantly, if this person has the desire to solve the problem I solve now. That is the only thing you want to focus on, whether you're selling agency services or life coaching. Does this person have the problem that I solve? And do they have the desire to solve it now? Put your product and service aside for a second. If they have the problem you solve and the desire to fix it now, getting them to convert will be easy because you're going to have lots of ammo or different ways you can communicate with them about the consequences of not solving the problem. You're going to use that external pressure along with internal saying, hey, if you don't change your situation, what happens? And I'll talk more about that. But so your opener, so your connecting portion of your script, you want to, whenever you start a conversation for your agency services, one of the first things you want to do is get some rapport with the person you're talking with and also establish a direction for the conversation. The direction is really important and the rapport is just equally as important. Rapport meaning you want them to feel comfortable talking with you. So for one of you who mentioned earlier, them trusting you to provide the service, odds are you might not have enough rapport with them around their situation. They just don't feel like you're someone who really resonates with them. Direction meaning they think you're that, or direction means, hey, you're giving this conversation a direction or you're giving it some structure. Now, so my go-to is, hey, this is just, so in this instance, it was, hey, it's Riley with Asia Pacific team here at Cavi Capital. How are you? You had a brief chat with said her name already. So I'll talk about this in some of the agency content. If you're using an appointment setter or you're having a qualification call, you just want to reference that briefly. Hey, we had a brief chat last Tuesday, or hey, we had an email briefly where we discussed any point of contact they gave you prior, you want to reference it, and you want to talk about the goal. So it's the first thing you want to bring out the gate. He's helping people raise money, so you want to raise capital. If you're selling marketing services, let's say you emailed your client or they responded to a cold email. Hey, sent you an email last Tuesday. Hey, we had a phone call last Tuesday. I believe you're still looking to get more leads for your business. Is that still the case? Open-ended question. This is crucial because the answer they give you to this is going to help shape your whole conversation and make it easier for you to find the actual problem that they have, but also to, once again, figure out if they have the problem you solve and if there's a desire to solve it now. But coming to the goal is the first thing you want to establish. What are they wanting? And the reason why we start with what somebody wants, which is typically the product of your services, is because for someone to have a desire, for someone to have a need, for someone to have a want, it means that they're lacking something already. You can't have a desire without having something that you're discontent about. Now, if you come out the gate saying, hey, I saw you want, clients, what is the biggest problem you're facing? Without establishing what the goal is, it's a bit too open-ended because business owners have lots of problems. Oh, this is a problem. This is a problem. This is a challenge. But clarify what it is that they want that you can help them achieve and then get the problem from there. Now, why this is crucial, I'm going to get really tactical with you. You should understand the 3 different goals that your counterpart has. So regardless of what your service is, what your client wants will typically take 3 forms. And I'll leave it to you guys. If we do like one-to-ones, or if you guys are part of the, the WhatsApp groups, I can get added to it, maybe answer some more questions that you guys have. But you'll find that your client's desire will take 3 shapes. The first thing they're going to want is directly what it is that you're offering. So if you're SEO, the first thing that they want is going to be, hey, I want SEO so that I can get better clients. The second thing they want might be a different variant or a different angle of your service. So for example, for those of you guys selling SEO, they either 1, want the SEO service you provide. 2, they're doing SEO currently, but think their SEO isn't good enough, or they want a professional to help them be better at their strategy or diversify it. Or 3, they might not need the actual effects of SEO, but they know that they should rank better on Google. And so that's why they're there. And so all of your products. So for example, let me go through the chat and I'll do some more of these. And the reason why is because this is going to help you understand what to sell them or what their problem actually lies in. So for someone who's having trouble raising capital, okay, what are your problems in raising capital? As opposed to what are your problems in getting more reach, as opposed to what are your challenges that are making you want to, raise or begin the process now. And this brings it closer back to like, what is that problem that they're facing that you can solve? So let me go through some of these as well. Drop a 2 in the chat if you understand that point. Drop a 1 if you don't, actually, before I go on further. Drop a 2 if you understand what I mean by there's different angles. Drop a 1 if not. And it's important that you know these. Okay, there's an interesting split, 1.5, 1.5, 2. Okay, no worries. So I'll go on a little bit further. This is what Alex talks about with the idea of having an angle or understanding what is your hook. How do you get someone's attention? So what's another example? Let's say I'm hungry and I want food from a restaurant. Well, let's say I walk into McDonald's. Well, I'm walking into that McDonald's because I might have different reasons. People buy products for different reasons. So I might walk into a restaurant because one, I'm actually just hungry and I want food. So that would be my one reason why I buy. Two, another reason why I might come in is I ate some food earlier, but there's just something specific that they have that I want. And it's not that I'm actually really hungry. They just kind of have things that I would like to eat now. So I'm not like a starving customer. Just, I don't care what it is. I'm hungry. Can bring me some food. And those people who come in that have eaten a little bit, they might be a little bit pickier. So this is what I mean. The people who need new investors and need new reach, they might be pickier. They know what they're doing. I had some food earlier. I'm not starving. I just actually, I just want an apple pie that's this flavor that you guys have to offer. And then you have the people who are preparing for the future. Meaning I might come now because I'm going to have a 9 to 5 shift and I'm saying I'm doing construction. I'm not going to have time to get food later. So I'm going to buy food now from McDonald's that I'm going to eat later. And so I'm preparing for the future. So that's what I mean. Essentially, anyone with your product or service, people have the problem. People have the problem or want what it is that you have to offer. People are doing what it is you have to offer, but want to do it better. Or people don't necessarily need, like they want what you have to offer, but they're preparing for the future. They know it's something they need and they're getting ahead. That's going to help you understand, one, what problems they'll have, but two, the readiness to solve it now. People who need what it is, they want to solve it now. People who are doing it, but are, want any help, there's not as much of a desire. People who are thinking to the future, it's sometimes a trickier sale. So that's my top of the face. That's my top of the script. That's what I want to figure out. And so then from there, once you figure out what it is they want, you then want to frame the call and give it direction. So what I like to say is, and I say this verbatim, regardless of what I'm selling, the main focus of this call is just to better understand what your approach has been currently, what's worked and not worked, the things you've tried to see if we could help. A lot of businesses come to us, but we can't help everybody. And what you want to say is, hey, I'm here because I'm actually curious about you as a person. I'm not here just to sell you, pitch you some service. Not everybody that comes to us I can help, but I'm curious to learn more about yourself and see if we can provide value. That's all you want to convey. You want to show that I'm not attached to selling you something. I'm here because I care about you and I have your interest at heart. And so that's why I always like to frame the call. And that's pretty much it for connecting. Once I get connecting, so what we've accomplished in connecting through few questions. And so it's like, you don't need to ask a ton of questions, just need to ask a few questions, but very well. What I just established is, hey, I have your best interest at heart. I care about you as a person. I'm here because I want to learn what you've tried, what's worked, what hasn't worked when it came to you getting thing you just said you wanted. And two, giving you some direction saying, hey, I want to learn about yourself, but also I want to understand what it is that you want so that I know what to talk about. And they either want what you have to offer, are doing what you have to offer, but want to do it better, or don't have it and are preparing for the future. They might not need it now, but they're preparing for the future. They're evaluating options. Okay, situation. You want to be very, very brief here because playing 20 questions with your clients, they don't love it. They know their business really well. They don't want you to sit there and fact find forever. We just want to figure out what they're doing to get what it is that they want. So why we get the goal at the top? What is their goal? How are they getting there? And do they like how they're getting there? That's how we're going to find the problem that we solve. So situation. Once they've already articulated, okay, are you hungry? Are you hungry and you're just here because you're hangry and you want to eat? Have you already eaten today and you're wanting something specific? Or are you preparing for food for later? The next thing we want to ask is, what's been your approach to getting that thing you said you wanted? Situation, what has been your approach currently? So when they show up, this doesn't work well for the restaurant analogy because when you show up to the restaurant, they're like, okay, what have you thought about eating today? It's like, no, you went to a specific restaurant. So the analogy won't hold. I might use something different for situation. But situation, what is your approach currently? They'll tell you whatever, they'll tell you some sort of spark notes or some summation. Well, I've done some studying, I've done some wikis, I've done some research. And then if you want, you can clarify with how long ago did you begin that? How long? Time questions, time-based questions, how long is a really killer question because what it does is it makes it real for them. If they've been doing something, it's one thing to be doing something. It's one thing to acknowledge the fact you've been doing it for 6 months. It's like, okay, how long have you had that? What do you need? I need food, or I'm hungry. Like, what brings you here? I need a burger. How long have you been hungry for? I've been hungry for the last 6 hours. It makes you feel a little bit more hungry. The more you think about it, add more context. So how long have you been doing this? Also, it's going to let you know what their readiness is to solve this now is. Because if this is like I'm only about a week in, anticipate some resistance because people to make a decision on something, especially when spending a sizable amount of money within a week, is really hard for some people. But if it's been a 3-month, 4-month journey for them, prepare to have more commitment or have a more intelligent conversation. People who are really new to whatever it is you have to offer, you'll find those conversations are harder. not because they want to be difficult, but because they just don't know. They truly just don't know better. They don't know enough about what it is that you have to offer, especially if they're new. So for example, what's been your approach currently? What's been your approach currently to get, or so for example, if it's not other goal thing that they have, then key question, pre-handle partner. This is crucial. Always want to ask this up top. Have you been doing this on your own? Or do you have a partner? Okay. And does the other people that are involved in this, do they know we're meeting today? Yes, they do. No, we don't. No, we don't. Prepare for there to be more resistance. Prepare to maybe not get a commitment that day. Prepare for there to be future obstacles because there's now more people you have to convince. If yes, they're aware, prepare for the sale to be a little bit easier because they're actually communicating with their team. But odds are most of the time you're going to get a no. And then if they say this, another question, who would be responsible for making the final decision if we want to work together or not? It's somewhat an aggressive question. You might feel a little bit uncomfortable asking this, but it's important because if you're really good at what you provide, you truly care about their business, it's best that you get all those people involved in the conversation. And if they say, oh, it would actually be the CFO or someone else, then, you've spent some time clarifying, okay, so what would be the process? Okay, well, would it be appropriate if we set up a time for the two of us to meet? So this is going to save you time because don't expect to go far if there's other people that need to be in the conversation that aren't. And that's it for situation. All you want to find is what they've been doing currently, what their approach has been, how long they've been doing that, and are there other people needed to make the decision to solve the problem that you provide? So, third part, problem awareness. Now, this is where things might get a little bit tricky because you're going to have 3 plans of attack here. So problem awareness, you've got 3 plans of attack, plan A, plan B, and plan C. Plan C, I'm going to teach you guys, well, I'm going to go through it, A, B, and C. Understand that plan A is the most effective. Plan B is if people are being a little bit trickier, and plan C takes a little bit more finesse. So plan A, very broad. As I mentioned earlier, you shouldn't ask them right out the gate what challenges they're facing. The more words and the more you string onto a question, the more things your counterpart thinks about and the more watered down and diluted the answer gets. So that's why it's important that you keep these questions as pointed as they are. So that's 1, ask broad. And this applies for all of you guys. Ask broad. What are the challenges you're facing in getting that thing you said you just wanted? Plan B, if they have a current approach that they've actually put a lot of thought into, so essentially you've got those people who are the second types, they're wanting, they're doing it currently. Find holes in their current process. And you're going to run into what is called the 2 truths. Everybody has 2 truths. They're either, the 2 truths meaning they're completely satisfied. They've got that surface level plastic answer they already give everybody. Yeah, things are great. Things are happy. And then the second truth is that they aren't actually satisfied and they've got some things that they probably change. And this applies to everything. Whether you might have just bought a brand new car. Well, do you like your brand new car? Yeah, I love it. It's brand new. I just got it. Well, is there anything you change about it? Well, the thing underneath the seat isn't electric, and so I have to manually pull up that bar and slide it forward and backwards. And I know it's brand new, but I just wish it was like that. So there's always some little discontent people have. And so you just want to get them in a comfortable and relaxed enough state to be able to tell you what that is. And it's not hard to do, especially if you're following this framework. You have a sufficient amount of rapport and you're to the chase, acting like a professional, getting what they want, following with them, making sure it's a service, framing the call, putting in their best interest. Everything you asked prior was purely just to tee them up to tell you what it is they actually don't like about what they're doing, because that's what you're selling the solution to. Once you find that problem, your goal is to now find others or make that problem bigger. So once we find one problem, how do you find another problem? Well, it's really simple. Aside from that problem, are there any other challenges you're facing? Once you find one problem, aside from that problem, anything else? And then you've got plan C. But I put in a little box here, a little blurb. The reason why you have these 3 different versions is 1, plan A. Sometimes your counterpart will be very vague in what they're doing currently. Use this question and sentence to uncover what the problem might be. And plan C, so for that 3rd type, the people who are preparing, plan C is, well, you're going to sell them problems that they're going to run into in the future. If your counterpart has no experience in what it is that you're doing, begin walking them through a future to where they know they will have challenges. Expand those challenges and you can prevent problems before they come real. That's what you're selling, is prevention. This is common for people who are brand new to whatever it is you have to offer. But those are the 3 ways you find problem. And you don't need any more than that. If you can't get these ones to work, ask us questions and we can troubleshoot with you to get you good at these. But these are the 3 tried and true. I've tried many others, but these are the most effective for all archetypes of sophisticated, unsophisticated, beginners, experienced, newbies. It works for everybody and it saves you a lot of time. That's problem. From here, we'll go into solution, which is where we actually begin to sell them or figure out what it is that they want so we can package our solution in the best way to solve their problems. But a rule of thumb that I like to think, and this just comes into persuasion psychology at large, if you can't remember it, your counterpart probably can't. And so this is why, and it's really counterintuitive. It's something I believe that a lot of people will kind of challenge me on. But I don't like to take a lot of notes on my sales calls. I don't like to take a lot of notes about my counterparts in general, because it's weird for me to come in with all this forensic information about them. If after a week or so, if I don't remember it, they definitely don't. And so it's better that I pick up the conversation to the level of awareness that we both have, as opposed to me coming in, reading them off like a fact sheet of all the stuff they talked about. Because another thing too is their life, their reality will change a little bit. Maybe those facts then aren't facts now. But it's also, when they give you this information, who are they really telling? They're telling themselves. They're saying, hey, I have a problem. I need help with this. These are challenges I'm going to face. They're admitting to themselves that they need help. That's what actually makes it persuasive. Not the fact that they're telling you and that you know, it's because they're admitting to themselves that, hey, we actually need some services. Cool, if that helps. But in the beginning, yes, write down these answers. If not, or if you get really good, you don't need to. And if you're sort of more of a free-flowing spirit, I would say work off your memory. And if you don't remember it, ask them, because they definitely don't remember it either. After the meeting, you take notes. Yes, if anything, that is a better format to take notes. I actually will do that still to this day, is I'll take my meeting notes after the meeting, because it forces me to use my memory a bit more. And whatever I remember to be key, I just kind of trust my intuition and thinking, well, whatever I remember after the meeting was probably important. Whatever I don't probably isn't. Same thing for them. Okay, let's go into solution. Solution awareness. So it's not really solution awareness. I would call this objection finding, objection preventing. So this is where you're going to find the reasons why your client won't buy your service, so you can give them or have good ways to get over them, or you can make your presentation stay away from those things that they would actually object to. So solution awareness, objection finding. First thing I asked, before speaking to me, were you talking to other companies to help you get results? Solution awareness. So before speaking with me, were you talking to other companies to help you solve that problem or get that thing that you want? Get international legal services. They will tell you yes or no. If no, great. No is perfect. I love when they say no, because I'm the trusted advisor. I'm making the first impression. I know most people don't sell better than I do. So I want to be the first person they talk to, because I know without a shadow of a doubt, they won't have a conversation better than the one that they'll have with me. I know that my conversation will probably be a wash. If you guys get good at selling, you'll feel the same way too. Or if you really love your services, you should feel that way about your services. If they are, great. If they are, this is going to make it easier for you to stand out from your competition and not just become, well, I'm talking to this guy and the other. If they say yes, how did it work out for you in that company? They'll give you the honest summary of whether it went well or if it didn't. If they were looking at other companies but didn't sign up, if you've done everything in the conversation right so far, you'll be a trusted advisor. And more importantly, that frame, I want to learn about what worked and what didn't work to see if we could help you, because I can't help everybody. You give them the feeling there's no reason for them to be dishonest with you. You're saying, hey, look, I don't even care about my service. Let me see if I can help you first. Let's see what you've tried. Because honestly, if they tried something that didn't go well and you do the exact same strategy, you should leave the conversation. You shouldn't even try to sell them. Look, we tried Facebook ad once and the company completely went bankrupt, and we really just don't want Facebook ads. And if you're a marketer and primarily what you sell is Facebook ads, great, man. I don't know if there's a whole lot we could do to help now, right? But keep your frame, keep your reputation, So let's say, yes, they tried another company. How did it work? What type of results did you get? Okay, if that works so well, what's got you here today? What held you back from having the full results? What brings us to this meet today? Well, problem that they mentioned earlier, if they didn't tell you it. If they were looking at companies but didn't sign up, this is key. This is probably where you'll find the most objection preventing, because the same reason why they didn't sign for other companies is the same reason why they probably won't sign for you. Okay, what prevented you from going with that company? Pricing, decision makers, timing, whatever objection they'll give you. There's 3 types of objections: time, money, and value. It wasn't the right time, or they didn't have the time, or they had the time and they were afraid of committing it. They didn't have the money, or they had the money but were afraid of spending it, or they didn't see the value in the service, or they don't value their company enough to invest in that service. Those are the 3 types of objections. We'll cover more of that in the agency. If yes, but not, what prevented you? They might give you a really detailed reason. Be prepared to have an answer for that, because that's the same reason why they won't sign for you. If they tried nothing, okay, what's made this more of a priority for you recently? So if nothing, what's made this more of a priority for you now? If that problem's true, remember what I said earlier, the 2 things you need is, do they have the problem you solve, and do they have the readiness to solve this now? This is going to help you understand why they would do it now. This question especially. And then segue and drive urgency. If they've done something, or if they've done something or looked at things but took no action, or haven't done anything, you want to drive up urgency. What's got you even wanting to, really get more serious about this, rather than just, so very similar, what's made this more of a priority for you recently? This question is key, because they're going to tell you why they want to solve the problem now. This might be because, well, we're going to be expanding. Well, I've got a friend who actually got hit with something like this. Well, I know it's been a concern, or well, it was on the agenda for the board, or whatever reason your client might have, or well, we've got family that's over there, or something bad just happened. That is why they will buy your service. And the problem is what you're solving. And this is the why as to why they're going to make that investment. Now, the reason why this is key is because you won't get a better why than this. I haven't been able to find a better reason for someone to want to join your services. This is about as much articulation you will get as to why. And another key thing, take notes of this and circle it down. Never use the word why anywhere in your sales conversation. You'll find in the script, I think if I do a search, well, I do why in the presentation. I only say whys in the presentation, but in your discovery, everything prior, never. The reason why you want to avoid the word why is a very confrontational word. You think growing up, if you've got parents who've ever been in trouble, it's why did you do that? It's ingrained in human beings to almost kick back to the word why. You can always replace why with the word what. What caused you to do that? What made you do that thing? What prevented? What? Remove why and switch to what. It's less confrontational, works better. It's more in line with human psychology. So that's it. That's pretty much your whole discovery. After this, they'll tell you some version that the growth is limited, so they need to build more. But let's talk about commitment. So this is probably the most important part of the script before objection handling, because for those of you guys who've gotten, ghosted at proposals, or clients freeze up, or client sees right at the finish line, understanding the 3 levels of commitment, or the 3 levels of what I call buy-in your client will give you, will give you way more mental sanity and clarity at the end of the calls as to what you should expect from that relationship you have with the person. After you've presented your services, after you've explained to them what you do, the questions I like to ask, so that process, if you tried that, do you feel it would work? And then wait. You will get 3 types of responses. And this is probably the most crucial thing, because depending on the response they give you at this stage will help you understand whether you should have hope for this closing or whether you should write it off and just look for another person. Because they will never tell you directly no. They might. There's a smaller portion they might. But most people won't. They'll give you one of the 3 levels of buy-in. And so as I write here, getting your counterpart to believe your process can solve their problem is the first portion of the sale. They need to see their problems and see how clearly our solution can solve it. If this is done properly, this will get us what I call buy-in on our solution, giving us the green light to help them commit to it, help them follow by following up, like pushing, being persistent. If you get buy-in on your service, you can follow up for the end of time and they won't think that you're annoying. But if you don't, you should leave it and walk away. The 3 levels of buy-in, depending on how you presented your solution and how well they see your problems, are 1, yes, it will, with certainty. Someone who is an ideal fit, and you'll already feel this coming, you should anticipate this answer before you even ask the question, but they'll say outright, yes, it will. Maybe make sure to follow up with this person after the call if they don't agree to sign then and there. But typically you might be able to get a 1 call close. But this is probably the rarest response, the clean out, yes, it will. How do we get going? 2 is the maybe. This is most common. At this stage, you want to spend time clarifying where they do see value in your service. I feel like it might, maybe your service would work. Okay, why do you feel like it might though? Or what makes you think that? I'll change it. What makes you feel like it would? This is where you really tie off the sale and know whether there's hope to have in this person signing or not. Maybe. But the key is, and I will tell this and write this down, circle it, star it, only clarify on how we can help. Do not have them explain why they feel like it won't. Something that is really common is I find that you guys, they'll say, I feel like it might. And you think, well, why do you think it won't? And an approach to potentially plug holes in their logic. If they articulate the things that they don't like, maybe you can patch those up so they like your service more. It's counterintuitive. There's a book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, and the principle is called what's focal is causal. What people focus on is more important. And you want them to focus on reasons why it will and never focus on reasons why it won't. And the more time you spend talking about reasons why it will, they'll sometimes forget those reasons why it won't, or at least they'll fade out of relevance, because what's focal, what they're focusing on, is causal, important. So maybe what's focal is causal. Keep them focusing, keep them looking at the positives in your solution. The 3rd level of buy-in is no need. They won't say no need. They won't always be so direct and to say no, but it's rarely ever, if ever, that they don't believe that what your service is isn't good. It's simply that they just don't have the need for the process right now. And this is all right. Expect these. And these people will ghost you after a meeting. If you've ever had somebody who ghosted you after a meeting, meaning they said, this is a great conversation, let me just take it away, and they never talk to you again, don't respond to your calls, texts, or emails, it's because there was no need. And they'll never tell you this directly, but you see it more in their behavior, but you'll feel it in the conversation. So you want to be really akin for those maybes, which you'll get probably 80% of the time. 10% of the time, you'll get the yes. 60 or 70% of the time, you'll get the maybe, and the remaining 20% of the time, you'll get the no need. And anticipate these. If you get a lot of conversations with maybes and yes, it wills, and you're not getting no needs, prepare for a no need to come. Don't think that everybody will want your service. And once again, it's not a rejection of you. Rarely it's ever that they don't believe that your service is good. It's simply they don't have the need for the process right now. But don't worry about chasing up or following up with these people. I would just let them go by the wayside. I'd put all my focus on those maybes and take especially those yes, it wills. And that's probably your 80-20 when it comes to selling agency services.